We are getting the servers chugging along, making sure we are broadcasting into all the spaces. Takes a few moments to get them going. Looks like we're live. Good morning, good day. Hello to you. Welcome to Hug Nation Live. I am John Halcyon Stin, and this is a daily practice of connection and gratitude, of recalibration, of remembering that we're not alone, that there are millions, maybe billions of like minded, open hearted people out there. The world would rather hug you than hurt you. But it's hard to hold on to that belief, that knowing when there's so many narratives and media messages and bots and people who, not even people, just forces that know that their aims are much easier to attain when people are angry and afraid. Good morning, Dave. Good to see you. Hello, Dawn. Hello, Caro and Loria. Welcome, Gurvat and Juan. I got this picture that's on the screen right now. A Facebook friend, Carla, sent me I posted something yesterday, 17 years ago. My Facebook memories came up and it said, no wonder I've never been in a relationship more than 2 years. I suck at being a partner, or I'm a crappy partner. And it was kind of cool to see, 17 years ago, that was true. And thank goodness to all the patient girlfriends and therapists and friends and role models. And I believe that I'm a good partner now. And so Carla was reflecting that she has been following me for many, many years. And this photo is a little proof of long ago, John. That's probably 20 years ago, I think, is when that was taken. I still had long hair. You can see I've got long hair with just the tips painted pink. It's kind of funny that now I'm feeling post pink and now trying to grow my hair out long again. So maybe the cycles will just continue. Maybe I'll go long and then pink again. I don't know. Good morning, Laura. Laura says, I love your new page banner. I think you mean the one taken in Hawaii. This beautiful bay that my friend Scott took me to while we were there. You can't see it in the picture, but saw whales very close, a mother and daughter breaching, and really incredible. Hawaii is quite a place. Dave saying, I love that you've entered your sage era. Thanks. At least visually. Now I gotta shape up my act. Nah. Heinian says, welcome, Tammy and Miss Merrily. Hey, this is a participatory space, so I would love to hear what you are grateful for. I am continually grateful for my partner, Lisa. Had some really had some deep conversations, and I had, yesterday's conversation here was pretty deep and revealing. I actually took down the videos because I realized that I just felt like, we were here for like 45 minutes, and that if you were here the whole time, I think I felt very comfortable with the vulnerability, but you could easily take a sentence from yesterday's broadcast and it could have sounded pretty bad. So I was like, I don't really want to feel uncomfortable. So I took it down. And then just pondering some of the topics of the day, I had some memories of my past that I had a different lens on over the years, and something that used to be a funny story. I realized that I had some, not shame, but clear recognition that I would not have the same attitude now. That I I believe I did the best I could at the time, but I know differently now, I was really I'm grateful that as I was sharing this vulnerable, you know, something I'm not proud of, I had total confidence that my partner had the capacity to love all of me, and it's a really beautiful feeling. Anybody else wanna share something that they are grateful for? Good morning, Craig. I've mentioned that I am really grateful for the song protests that I've been seeing in Minnesota, and I actually just made a little video highlighting it and talking about it, so I guess I'll share that now. I think it's more if you haven't seen the clips, this will make a lot this will is a lot better than me just talking about it. So let's see if I can share that.
Is it possible that songs are the most powerful tool against ice? This footage from Doug Paget shows an inspiring scene. Listen. While I totally understand the ice mentality, I worry about how effective that is. Is it possible that an ICE officer would be persuaded by people yelling at them? Maybe. But I don't think it works that way. I think that a crowd of angry jeers generally strengthens people's resolve. As Martin Luther King Jr. is often quoted as saying, "Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." So it is with profound hope and reverence and appreciation that I am witnessing song being used as a tool of change, as an instrument of power, not the power to increase conflict, but the power to melt icy hearts. I don't know what kind of person would sign up to work for ICE, but I believe that all humans want to be loved. It is the lack of love that divides us. It is the lack of love that closes our hearts. It is the lack of love that permits violence against one another. And we know that hate will never heal that lack. Only love can do that. And perhaps this ancient technology of song is the most powerful tool we've got. Can our songs of love melt icy hearts? I believe they can.
Isn't that incredible? I don't know, it hits me in the heart, and I have to have faith that it hits everyone in the heart at some level. Craig sharing, grateful for my ability to help a friend today. Thanks, Craig. And huzzah for the joy of service, the joy of gifting, feeling good by making others feel good. Thank you. I am grateful for tomorrow being First Saturdays. I get to help be of service to friends and neighbors in need in downtown San Diego. And in the same way, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be of service. Tam says, I'm so unbelievably grateful for the full circle connections that the burn has provided for me. Gotta go. See you soon. Enjoy your day. Valletta said, I had this on surrounds when it live streamed. It was magical. Laura saying, the lack of love. Absolutely. What the world needs now is love. Sweet love. Hainoon sharing, I am so grateful for breath work. Wim Hof has made me more noticed and meditation to regulate my nervous system. Heal within allows more space to heal those around us. Be the change you want to see. There's a lot in the world that we do not have control over. And there is so much about our own world, our own experience, our own minds and bodies that we do have control over. So when we feel helpless, focus on what we do have control over. Breath is a great place to start. Thanks, High Noon. Craig saying, I like that MLK quote. Yeah, it's, I mean, I understand how anger and frustration is incited, and there's nothing wrong. I don't want to, you know, what do they call it? Tone police, or, but when trying to think of progress and healing and solutions, I I think that MLK Jr. is correct in that quote. You look at Gaza, you look at any place with conflict, you look at the back and forth. I mean, there's you, you can rarely punish someone into peace, maybe temporarily, but with the exception of exterminating an entire people, which is, that is something that happens, and that is something that you see in biblical times and you see around the world. But if people who are oppressed, people who are bullied by force into submission, harbor a fire that eventually burns the shit down. Heinen says, a message that hits my inner authentic being. Grounding, John. Juan saying, wow, them singing disarms them completely. That is superpower indeed. Nick! Hey, Nick! Long time no see. What a treat. I hope your world and your life is beautiful and your family is happy and healthy. Anybody have anything that they are grateful that they would like to share? I'll share it. I'll read it to the group. Just leave a comment. What else am I grateful for? I'm grateful I got to see my mom yesterday. This week was her birthday. Oh, yeah. I'm so grateful for my mom. She was sharing with me. She has been a lifelong member of our local UC, United Church of Christ. And it's what I was raised in and confirmed in. And it is a very liberal church. They encourage inquiry, and they're an open and affirming, and there's like a rainbow flag, in front of the church. And my mom is on a committee that is rewriting their bylaws for a few reasons. And I hope this is not secret. I don't think so. One is that, church attendance is down in most places except for, I think, mega churches. And so there are some smaller churches that are finding themselves in a position where their bylaws have things written into them that require a certain number of people for a quorum. And then the numbers get so low that they actually can't then change the bylaws so that it can work with the lower numbers. And so they needed to adjust the bylaws so that they didn't put themselves in a vulnerable position, and write into it how things would work as if numbers got smaller. But the other thing that she was working on was reworking their mission statement and reworking some of the ways that they describe themselves. And it was so beautiful to me, the kinds of things that were important to her and important to her community. Like, community was the key. What makes you a member of the church is the participation in the community. There's no mention of you must accept Jesus Christ as your savior. Their mission statement, I don't think, even uses the word Christian. It says something like, by following Jesus, we pursue peace and love and justice, something like that. And I was just so inspired and proud of my mom, and that idea of a church, which is something I often associate with manipulating dogma in ways that are very contrary to the teachings of Jesus. But I really respected the way that they were carefully choosing words to be inclusive, to protect against some of the manipulation that happens within under the Christian banner. And they even, I think, mentioned, like, they said they referenced like teachings of Jesus and ancient texts. So it wasn't even like, no, they didn't mention Bible, they didn't mention scripture. It was this very broad spiritual path, with the idea that the teachings of Jesus are kind of their North Star, but there's no requirement of allegiance or acceptance or proclamation of, and it was simply wanting to be a part of this community and offering yourself as a teacher, student, learner. And I was like, oh, so beautiful. Craig sharing, next week is my dad's 70th, and my mom asked me to make a video because they live in Canada and I won't be there for his party. Sweet. Happy birthday to your dad. Laura says, I'm grateful for the owl that has taken up residence in my tree. Dave says, I'm being married this coming week by our friend Caitlin. Wow, congrats. Wow. Yay, that's some solid good news gratitude. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else want to share something that they are feeling grateful for? Greg, continuing on, I'm grateful that I can still be a part of my family, even when I'm in San Diego. Hooray for technology, which is kind of what we're practicing here. We are all geographically in different places, but we are connecting in this shared value of gratitude, a shared recognition of connection. So thank you for helping us practice here. Hi, Rainey. Hi, Sean or Shauna. Urban Monk says, I am grateful for Weird Al. I was watching Stephen Colbert and saw Stephen Colbert describe the rest of your life in 5 words. Weird Al's response was, be kind, bring joy, repeat. That's good. Thank you, Maestro Al. Good day, Chris. Chris says, I'm grateful to be nominated for Community Leader of the Year by my community. I didn't win, but honored to be recognized for my contributions nonetheless. Bravo. That is, congratulations. That is significant. Leslie says, the power of singing. The power of singing and song today. I'm grateful to be able to hear and feel music. Yes. Amanda says, maybe I'll see you on the playa. My camp is 430 in B. Our name is 3907. We have the Pit of Chickens and a mood swing. As of now, I do not have plans to attend Burning Man in 2026. Who knows? Sienna Mar, thank you for the help. Oh, wait, hi. And Sienna Mar is grateful for health and strength. Thank you for sharing and for the guidance. Speaking of former host of The Daily Show, well, should I play it? Maybe I took this clip of Jon Stewart talking about social media. I'll paraphrase it because it's so powerful. I think he talks about how, that if you go to a restaurant, they're going to put in it a little extra butter or maybe some sugar in the marinara that's going to make it taste so good. But that's still within the realm of acceptable manipulation of flavors. But when you go into like the craft factories where they are manipulating chemicals, and he says like goat anus glands to try to get like these flavors that just hit us, and the crunch and the texture, so that it bypasses our own mind's ability to say, I think that's too much. And he said that social media is the exact same thing with information, that they're literally scientists figuring out how to manipulate data and information in a way, in the same way that Doritos is manipulating the flavor profile and textures to like trigger our brains, that the same thing is happening with our social media, that it is, uh, we can get pulled into radicalization and fear and being manipulated because our brains are not as complex as we might think. And when they are understood well enough, the technology can overpower our innate guards and cautions and things. Any last gratitudes? Anybody want to share? High Noon says, I am grateful for those kind of religious groups who are not bothering others, but making space for love. Yes. Amanda saying, understandable. I mean, I'm in this conversation a lot of like, why aren't you going? And there's a lot of reasons. And I may return. Having a wedding on the horizon is significant. The role of Burning Man in my past selves and my current self and my relationship to uh, intoxication and certain chemicals that I associate with Burning Man, uh, and my very challenging year a few years ago when it got super hot and I had COVID and thought I was going to die. I think I have some PTSD about heat and but but I am so grateful for Burning Man. The 10 principles are a huge part of my life. This weekend, I'm doing First Saturdays, which is my way of practicing gifting in the default world. Uh, Me too, Amanda. Kirbot says, social media is digital crack. Yep. Urban Monk says, my church is an all welcoming church. We love and support all people, especially marginalized groups. We embrace the statement, love is love. Yeah. Well, let's practice and remember that. Gearbot sharing, I love dancing. I'm grateful for being able bodied that allows me to enjoy moving my body rhythmically. Yes, thank you for these bodies. Thank you for our ability to enjoy flavors and tastes, for the ability to enjoy music, touch, for our ability to call upon memories and find joy and peace from people who may not even be here. We are approaching the 1-year anniversary of my co-host Janos's passing. In fact, very shortly, I'm going to record a new episode of Stay Sparked with Betsy. And one of the things we've been thinking about is, how do you keep the memory of those who've passed alive? And how do you connect to the gratitude of those who are not with us? And I have Grandpa Caleb on my wall. He's a part of every day of my life. Actually, I've got Janus over on that wall. Bye, Sienna. We're actually going to be finishing up any moment now, but thank you for tuning in. Amanda's grateful for Flipside. I'm grateful for everyone who's here. Ainu says, this space is church to me. It is a congregation of love ambassadors. So thank you for being a part of it. Wherever you are, let's give ourselves a hug, and in doing so, send out a hug to one another. Feel connected in this moment. Recognizing it doesn't matter where our feet are. It matters where our heart is. And we are in this moment are connected. Connected in gratitude, connected in hope and love. Pushing ourselves to be the most open, loving versions of ourselves, to practice patience and kindness and forgiveness towards ourselves and towards those in our life, trying to be love ambassadors, trying to be role models of the kind of people and world that we want to be a part of. Sometimes that is a grand act, helping the homeless. Sometimes it is self care and letting yourself rest. So let's support one another in these pursuits of healing and growth as we take a deep breath in and squeeze. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all of us here, thanks for being here and adding your delicious ingredients to this stew of gratitude that we can now nourish ourselves with and ladle out throughout our day. Thank you. I love you. Janet is grateful for flow.